In this video, we'll talk about tracking and how to configure the console to be a default tracking console or to make it a default queue only console. So the file that I provided to you is a default queue only, which means that if I just update I've brought channel 6 up to full and I were to update this queue, it will update in queue only mode, which means it will update only Q4. And if I were to try to toggle it to track, say update, and then hit the queue only / track button. Oh, clear. Here, let's do an update, right? And now I hit my queue only track button. You'll see in the command line it says update to track. So the file I provided is by default queue only. It's the easiest to understand. But tracking is the most efficient way to program, right? So that's a little overview of queue only versus tracking. Now let's go into our system settings and let's show you how to change the console from a default queue only to make it a default tracking. Again, I open my browser and I go to my setup menu and I'm going to double click on system settings. And I must confess, I have to look around a little bit to find it sometimes. Let's go to systems, queue settings, no, show control, no. Let's go to user, record defaults. Here it is. So it's in the user tab, right, which is soft key 2, and it's under record defaults. And under the record defaults, you have queue only mode selected, and that's in the file that I provided to you. To change the default to tracking, just click on it and it just toggles between the two modes. It only has the two modes. And at this point then we can leave this menu, right? I'm now going to go to live so that I'm back in live. Now if I were to update this queue, say update, right? Open my thing and I select the queue only track button. Now it's going to update to queue only mode when I hit that button. It will by default track, right? And I'll show you, right? So let's just do an update, enter, and I have now updated Q4 with channel 6 at full. And when I hit the go button, it goes to the next queue. And if I were to say 6 out and update queue only, enter, now it updated that change in that queue only. So anyway, that's how you change the console from a default queue only to a default tracking.